Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend and are ready to start next week fresh. So about a week ago, I made a video on how to invoice brokers and what to look for in order to ensure that you get paid. In that video, I promised you guys that I would make a video about what to do in case a broker underpays you. And unfortunately, underpayment is a huge issue in this industry that happens very often. So we'll talk about that today. Ready? Let's go! So I think the best way to start this video is to actually tell you why underpayments happen. Number one, hidden service fees. Some brokers have what I like to call hidden service fees. Now, these are not actually hidden because they're somewhere in the rate confirmation or the carrier contract, but they are very hard to spot. So what are these? Well, a great example is Landstar. When you complete a load for Landstar, you have two invoicing options. Number one, you can send the original bills of lading invoice rate confirmation via snail mail.
Wait a minute, how is an owner-operator supposed to do that?
Exactly. Most owner-operators don't have the time to go out of their way to find a USPS and to mail all those documents in. So that's why there is a second option, which is an online invoicing option. Basically, you use an app called TransFlow to upload all your documents and send them to Landstar. Now, unfortunately, anytime you use TransFlow to invoice Landstar, you are going to get $2 deducted from your rate. So if you, for example, made $1,000 on a load, you are actually going to be paid $998.
Note to self, never work with Landstar.
No, you can absolutely work with Landstar. Just keep in mind that they will end up charging you $2 to invoice. Another example of a hidden service fee is when the broker charges you for money codes. Now, very often you go to get unloaded and there is a lumper service there with a lumper fee. So you usually would call the broker, tell them how much it costs to unload the trailer, and then the broker will issue you a money code so you can pay that lumper service fee in order for them to unload you. Now, some brokers actually charge for those money codes, and it can be anywhere between $5 and $20.
Note to self, number 2, brokers are scam artists.
It's definitely a crappy practice, but it can be avoided. First of all, always make sure to read your contracts and rate confirmations to see if you can spot any fees associated with money codes. Number 2, when you actually call the broker to request the money code, ask them, do you charge a fee for this money code? If the answer is yes, it might be a good idea to pay out of pocket and then send a receipt to the broker to get reimbursed. Number 2, communication failure. Sometimes underpayment can be a result of communication failure from the carrier's side. I will always be on the side of the carrier, but let's face it, we are all human, therefore we all make mistakes. So remember this, most brokers will require that you inform them 30 minutes before detention starts in order to get paid detention. And anytime there is an accessorial fee or a new charge, such as a lumper fee or a pallet fee or maybe driver work. From my experience, I know that if you do not keep the broker in the loop, they will use that as an excuse to underpay you. Hey, I just got your payment, but I see that I wasn't reimbursed for the $457 in the lumper fee and I sent all the receipts. So what's going on?
Did you call us when you were charged the lumper fee?
No, but I sent in all the receipts.
Yeah, so next time you should really call us because the lumper fee was actually prepaid by us, so unfortunately we won't be able to reimburse you.
Yes, these things actually happen. Now, don't forget, when you're keeping the broker informed, make sure to do so in writing before you actually call them, because paper trails will be your insurance policy. Number 3, receipts. Very often, underpayment occurs because of missing receipts. Brokers will always require receipts as proof of payment. If you paid for a lumper fee, for example, out of pocket, you will need to send the receipt to the broker to show how much you paid. If the broker issued you a money code and you paid using that money code for the lumper, you will still have to send that receipt proving that you actually paid for the lumper fee and not something else. So remember, when you're sending that email with your invoice, make sure to attach all those receipts in that email. Number 4, shady practices. The most common reason for underpayment is when a broker fails to pay you for detention and layover. Now, a word of caution, many brokers will require that you have in and out times on your bill of lading. These will act as proof that you were actually detained. That being said, even if you did everything correctly, you have your in and out times on the bill of lading, you kept the broker informed, the broker might still be unethical and still fail to pay you that detention or layover. Hey there, I was detained at the receiver for 8 hours past appointment time and I didn't get payment for that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I really tried to get that client to pay for detention, but unfortunately they say they can't, so I hope you understand.
What really happens? The client pays the broker your detention money, but instead of forwarding it to you, the broker pockets the money. Now, to avoid this potential problem, what you should be doing is calling the broker when detention time begins and asking for a new rate confirmation with that detention time. Now, will all brokers send you a new revised rate confirmation with that additional charge? Unfortunately not. But that will be a learning experience for you as to which brokers do not follow through with detention pay. So now the big question, what do you do when a broker underpays you? Step 1, call the broker. I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. So the first step you should do is give the broker a chance to explain why you were underpaid. If the underpayment is related to something like hidden service fees, unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it. If it's related to missing receipts, you can go ahead and find those receipts and email them to the broker to get paid or reimbursed for those costs. But if the broker is doing something sketchy, like making excuses as to why he or she is not paying you detention or layover, then you have to
sue them for everything they're worth.
No, spending thousands of dollars on a lawsuit to get $150 paid to you for detention is not quite rational, so lawsuits might not be the best option. However, you are completely within your right to ask the broker for all documents related to that load in question. See, broker responsibilities are set by the FMCSA, and they are required to keep records of every single transaction done within the past 3 years. These records include all sorts of documents, amounts received from all parties involved, description of charges, and payments to the carrier. Now, you as the carrier have the complete right to request those documents, and the broker, by law, is required to provide you those documents upon request. If the broker fails to comply with your request, you are completely justified in approaching the FMCSA and complaining about that broker not fulfilling their requirements. Now, most brokers really don't want to show you their records. So what they will do, they will want to get rid of you. And the best way to get rid of you is just to pay you so you can shut up. Now, the question is, have I ever done this? And the answer is no. Of course, over the years, there were many brokers who underpaid me for detention and layover, but for me, ruining a relationship with the broker for $150 was not worth it. See, the brokers who have occasionally underpaid me detention and layover are the same brokers who give me above average rates for loads because I have a good rapport with them. If I start threatening them, yes, I will gain those $150, but what I will lose potentially is those $5 per mile loads. $150 and instant gratification versus $5 per mile loads in a market that averages maybe $3.60 per mile. Yeah, I think I'm going to swallow my pride and say goodbye to those $150.
Hold on a minute, you selfish cow. What about your driver who is actually the one stuck waiting to get loaded and unloaded? I mean, you might be okay with losing $150, but what about your driver who suffers at your hands?
In our company, we pay detention and layover regardless of whether we get paid by the broker. So if detention or layover occurs on a Monday, that same Friday the driver gets paid for that delay. Once again, this is a business decision that you have to make. What is good for you and your company? You have a viable option of getting that money paid to you, but are you ready for the potential consequence of that broker not willing to work with you anymore? I hope you guys found this video helpful and that you learned something new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.